Welcome, Tom No from Fifth Round here with Travis Browne. Travis, here we are, August 4th, Staples Center. Unfortunately, there's no Ben Rothwell. Obviously, you're disappointed. Can you tell us who's the most what phone call was it the most disappointing that you had to make to tell them that you're not going to be on the Fox card?
I had to call all my family. I was coming over from Hawaii. That unfortunately, I'm not fighting. Um, I think too. I had to call my kids and tell them, hey, Dad's coming home early, and they're asking me why, and I had to explain it to them and all that kind of stuff. So it was a little tough, but I think for me, it's a sense of accomplishment when I go through an 8-week camp and then I go and I fight and I come home to my kids. I feel like I've accomplished something. Like I have something to show to my kids for the last 8 weeks I spent away from them. This time, unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity to, but at the same time, there's a silver lining. I got Bigfoot October 5th on UFC on FX5.
Yeah, before we get to Bigfoot, there was a report that the UFC was trying to get Devin Cole to offer that to you. Was that true, or was that not true?
Yeah, that was something that Joe Silva brought to the table, and we definitely agreed to it. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it didn't end up working out, but it just it was a bummer, but we got to move on from that.
The rumor mill is because of his sexual assault case back in the day. Is that what you had heard too?
That's just what I heard through, the same way you guys heard through the internet and all that kind of stuff. Is just he had some ghosts in the past, and it came back to bite him. And hopefully he's able to get over that hump. I know as a fighter myself, if I can't fight in the UFC, if I don't have that goal or if I don't have that opportunity, then there's why am I fighting?
Travis, you mentioned now that it's not a bad consolation prize. You're going to be headlining an FX card. But if you were to step away from the picture for a second, which one would you rather do? Remain on this card with Fox because it's bigger exposure, or headline an FX card?
I'll take C on that. I'd like to do both. I'd like to fight Ben tonight and then go in 2 months and fight Bigfoot. I love being active. That's one of the things that's tough being in the UFC because there aren't that many fights for a heavyweight to be that active. My first year I had 9 fights. That was obviously on smaller shows and stuff, and the training wasn't as intense. But with the UFC, I like to stay a little active. Maybe every 3 to 4 months, something like that. But it is what it is. It's tough to say, because I would be fighting tonight, which is something I love to do, or I get to headline a show.
Can you break down the difference between preparing for a Ben Rothwell as opposed to preparing for a Bigfoot Silva?
Yeah, there's a little bit. In the sense of like preparation, it's a little different because I'm fighting a guy that I believe is a little more well-rounded. Maybe his takedowns isn't as good, but maybe his jiu-jitsu's better, his striking's better, but maybe not as much power or something. So with him, I just have to be ready for every facet of the game. Just like, I'm going to have to go out there and fight him just like I fight anybody else. I have to apply my will. I have to implement my game plan and go out there and get the win.
Travis, you're an up-and-comer in division. Obviously, you own an almost perfect record. Do you ever look back on that draw with Czech Congo and think what could have been, or have you moved past that already?
I take that draw with Czech Congo probably as one of the best fights for me as a fighter. If I would have gone out there and knocked out Czech Congo in the first minute of the first round, I wouldn't be working as hard as I am now. I wouldn't be as motivated as I am now. I wouldn't have learned as much about myself as I have, since that fight. So it's hard for me to say. I still have a goose egg on my record where nobody's ever beaten me.
Which is important.
Which is important, yeah. But it's the same thing. It's bittersweet because I learned a lot about myself in that fight, and it's made me into the fighter that I am today.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Travis. We wish you the best of luck in October. Tom No from Fifth Round. Till next time.